Welcome back to Money with Mission, Wealth Builders International podcast. This is your host, Dr. Felecia Froe, and we continue to be sponsored by Money with Mission, whose vision is that every woman have the financial ability to walk away from any job or relationship that is not in her best interest. To that end, we have guests on the podcast who speak to financial freedom, although I'm starting to not like that word so much, but stepping into your own power financially, letting money work for you instead of you working for money. And we do that by talking about their story. Usually it's women, and we talk about their money story during this current season of our show, so that hopefully you can see yourself somewhere in that story and how you can change the position you're in if you so desire to do so. Today we have Hilary Hendershott, MBA, CFP, founder of Hendershott Wealth Management, fee-only advisory firm helping high net worth women and couples build wealth with a tax-smart fiduciary approach. A TEDx speaker and creator of the Money Operating System, Hilary has been named to Investopedia's top 100 financial advisors 6 years in a row and is featured in Forbes, NBC, and the Wall Street Journal. She is also the host of her own podcast, Love Your Money, wealth, money, and financial advisor for women. Welcome to the show, Hilary. Hilary, thank you so much for coming on Wealth Builders International. We just changed our name and added international because I want to.
Okay, there you go. I'm happy to be here. It's a global conversation.
Actually, Hilary is international right now. She is in Puerto Rico, where she and her husband and daughter live. Most of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time they're living there and still looking for their final place to land, just like me. But right now, you are founder and owner in Hendershott Wealth Management. Tell us about your money story. Where did you come when you came into the world? Where were you with relation to money, and how did you get to where you are today?
So I grew up not really paying much attention to money. My mom worked in a clinical laboratory. She went from at the microscope to management during before I graduated from college kind of time frame. And she was just really committed to saving a lot of money. So she did her full contributions. I, at the time, of course, did not know that. Okay. And of course, clinicians make a lot less money than doctors typically. And so she had a normal income, a good income, but we live in San Jose, California, so high cost of area living. She was raising two girls. She became a single mom. My experience was there was never enough money, right? So the things I cared about, the things I wanted to give my friends nice birthday gifts. My mom would give me $5. And that was embarrassing for me. I felt embarrassed. I was on the high school
basketball. And it wasn't back in 1920 when $5 was a lot of money, I'm sure.
1980s, the 1980s, okay? And I was on the high school basketball team, and everybody on my team had Nike high tops. Okay. This was the years of Jordan, right? I wanted Nike high tops. My mom took me to Payless Shoe Source, and I got Pro Wings, okay? Mm-hmm. This was embarrassing to me. So to me, there was never enough money. What did that do to me? Fast forward into my working years, money burned a hole in my pocket. Why is that? It's very confusing because when you believe there's never enough money, you have to live in scarcity. So when you have money, you have to get rid of it. You have to spend it. You have to have it be, your brain needs congruence, right? We know this from the study of neuroplasticity. Your brain needs congruence. You can't hold two conflicting ideas for very long. I think there's never enough money and I just made $10,000. Well, I better spend that money. And spend it I did, and I got myself into a pretty cyclical pattern. Fast forward a few years, I tried a few things in my career and never loved them, always spent everything I earned. My father had been a financial advisor since I was 10 years old. He wanted me to be his business continuation plan. He brought me into the business. Turns out I have a head for numbers. Within a few years, I found myself in advising multimillionaire clients what to do with their investment portfolios during the day, coming home at night to a stack of bills that I wouldn't open because I couldn't pay them, okay? So I was running up credit card bills, not paying them off. The culmination of this, the climax or the nadir of it really, is one day I pulled my leased BMW convertible into the gas station. I had 2 credit cards and an ATM card. First credit card got declined because it was maxed out. Second credit card declined because it was maxed out. ATM card declined because my bank account was empty.
Okay.
So I couldn't even afford to get a tank of gas, right? I literally had to walk home from the gas station that day, and it was a humiliating walk. And I decided to have a little coaching session with myself. And I said to myself, I can see where this behavior is leading. In my future right now is only more better and worse versions of this kind of outcome in life. Like, I always intended good financial outcomes. I graduated with a 3.9 GPA in economics, right? It's not, I know math. Certainly, personal finance is basically arithmetic, right? It's not like it's even calculus. Knowing the numbers made no difference for me. And I said to myself, well, I look around, the people I know who are doing well financially, we both have good intentions, but I have bad results. They have good ones. So what's the difference between me and them? Well, it's obviously psychology. It's not what I know. It's who I'm being about my money.
I'm going to stop you because that's a perfect transition or
thank you.
Place to go back. You said you had a sister and your mom became a single mom. You said you brought your dad in later. So your dad didn't die. They divorced. Yes.
Correct. And my parents got divorced when I was around 6. My sister was around 2.
Okay. And your mom had a job, took care of you, supported you.
Yep.
And I think you said something made her max contribution. So what you learned was, even if you didn't learn it consciously, was that there wasn't enough money, but she was putting her money away into a 401k. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I just didn't see it.
Okay. As far as you knew, there wasn't enough money in the conversation. There wasn't enough money for me to have the things I wanted.
Right.
Fast forward, you got jobs. So you went to college and you got a degree in economics. What was your impetus to do that? Did you know your dad well enough to know that he was doing financial management, financial planning?
I did, but that wasn't it. My dad's degree was in molecular biology. I took an economics class and absolutely fell in love. I am, in my heart, an economist. I spent my 20s pulling the strings of academic inspiration, and I did a bunch of research fellowships, and I really thought economics was I was going to be an economist. Okay. And for various reasons, that didn't work out. Washington, D.C. chewed me up and spit me out.
You did go there.
I did. Okay. I did. And I'm not a PhD kind of person. I wanted to work in public policy. And I really learned, and now we're getting a little bit off track, but I learned pretty quickly that I wasn't going to be able to make the impact I wanted to make. And that the impact I saw I was going to be able to make was not going to be sufficient for what my soul wanted. I wanted to be more impactful than Washington, D.C. was going to allow me to be. So I made career pivots.
So you listened to that inside thing that said, this isn't it. This isn't all I'm here for, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Even if you know what I'm here for at that point, like, this isn't it.
I knew that wasn't it.
You talked about you were making money, and you threw in the fact about that you would spend it as fast, that you tied it to psychology and you're used to not having enough. And I know a lot of people, and me included, when I finished residency, it's like I was tired of delayed gratification. I didn't tie it to I was used to not scarcity and there wasn't enough. It was, I'm tired of waiting for everything. I'm going to buy things now. Do you think there was part of that in you too? Or was it really, do you think at the time, what was your thought? I know now you've looked back at it and you see there's a whole psychology to the whole thing, but do you remember what you were thinking at the time you were spending as much money faster than you got it, plus more?
I used to say, if I earned $100, I would spend $120.
Yes.
There are people who earn $100 and spend $200 or $1,000, right? So they're like a little worse off. But there's a number of things. So first of all, there's the idea of dress for the job you want. So, I want to be a success. I must look like a success. I must buy the brand name thing. Okay, so there's that. There is, I really want these people to like me. I also had money collapsed with being worthwhile or worthy or powerful. So I wanted people to think I already had money. So I would spend money on them, money I didn't have. And then there's this insidious thing where when you spend more than you make, you end up in these financial emergencies or you end up just borrowing money. And so a lot of your current income has to go to pay for debts you already incurred. Right. And somehow magically, if I would make $1,000, suddenly a bill would show up for $1,000. It was like, It was crazy making, but I do think ultimately I created that reality subconsciously.
Yeah, no, I agree. We don't see that until later, usually. He's like, why? I'm a doctor. I make six figures. Why are we struggling?
Right.
And you really do have to have a conversation with yourself like you finally did. So
Yeah.
you went to Washington, D.C. We don't even need to go into all of that. You tried The Economist and they're like, that's not where I'm supposed to be. How did you and your dad start to work together? Did he come and talk to you? How did that go?
He had always said, come work in the business, be my business continuation plan. He had always said that.
Okay.
I did work in his firm briefly. To be honest with you, I found it extremely boring. I did not have investments connected with people's futures. I didn't make that connection yet, right?
Uh-huh.
I went and did a brief stint in corporate America. Oh boy, that thing chewed me up and spit me out faster than Washington, D.C. Okay. So then I'm thinking, am I employable? What's happening right now? And so it was a last ditch effort. I said, okay, Dad, I'm on board. Bring me in. And he did. And then it took a little bit of time until I started to develop relationships with the clients in the firm to be more than someone who was wheeled into meetings to take notes and be seen and not heard. And that's no clip on my dad. That's how you have to learn things. Yeah. But as soon as I started to develop an emotional connection to the clients, oh man, I got so inspired about what I do now. It really is just using a technical skill set to help people do better in an important area of life.
Yeah.
So I got a real love for the work, and that's why I'm still doing it 25 years later.
Okay.
Yeah, 25.
How does your sister do with money? Is she a financial person like you, or did she get a completely different lesson?
My sister is so smart. It's very insightful that you asked that. My sister actually works for me. So she
Okay.
is an advisor on my team, and she got the opposite money sickness. Hers is more productive, less destructive than mine. She's like a little bit of a money hoarder.
Okay.
So she got the opposite message. Money might go away. Our mom was always talking about how she had money for the important things, but we would not be able to do the things we wanted. And so there was a little scarcity in her speaking. There was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so Alyssa has been amassing wealth for many, many decades now. She tells the story of we went on a cruise with our mom to Mexico and our mom gave us each $100 or something. And she said, I just remember, Hilary, you had spent your $100. I said, oh, probably by the third day of this 7-day cruise. She said, yes, that's correct. And she said, by the end of the cruise, I think I had only spent 25. Like I didn't even spend it all. So that really exemplifies the difference in our money mindsets.
So it's very interesting because scarcity shows up in different ways. For you, it was like, I'm not going to have enough stuff. It sounds like I'm going to spend money to buy stuff. And for your sister, this money is the thing, and she kept the money. So I still sounds a little scarcity to me because I don't know.
Well,
I always think money needs to move. And so it's what we move it to or into or how it moves. It's the most important thing. Anyway, so
yeah.
go ahead.
I agree with you. And I do think, and this may sound, it may sound harsh because I've described my own money mindset, which I call a money operating system, by the way. I trademarked that term. But I do think our nascent money operating systems that we come out of childhood with are inevitably false. Like they're an insufficient description of money because money doesn't have a nature. Money is everything I believe and everything you believe, and none of those things at the same time, right? And so if you live your life, people who get the money operating system, there's always enough money. They may not ever have an opportunity in life to really explore that, to really examine that, because I find that those people occasionally don't plan well because they just think there'll always be enough money. Yeah, it's like a little spiritual or something, which you can be spiritual about your money, but money is not spiritual in its nature. So yeah, I think that's totally fair what you said. There was scarcity in our household, certainly like a scarcity of time with mom, a scarcity of love between our parents, a scarcity of, there was lots of like marital angst between our parents and their multiple partners that they were with. And so I do think Alyssa and I came from scarcity.
Did your mom with her, you said she did 401k investing as far as, was that sufficient for her in the end? I'm assuming she's retired at this point and living.
She's happily retired and her husband was a teacher for 40 years. And so Nice pension, nice savings. Yeah.
So do you feel like your mother's thought process was work, 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 and then I'll retire and have fun one day? Or do you think she had a different thought process anywhere in there?
I think that my mother came from a home that did not give her many advantages except for intelligence. Every one of my mother's siblings they're all very smart, they're all scientists, and her parents did not take great care of them. So she left high school to start college early without many skill sets of being a human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without maybe self-love or boundaries or things like
Mm-hmm.
this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think she did a great job with what she had, and she definitely made up that if school, then success. And so, of course, if more school, then more success,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so being a scientist was
Mm-hmm.
exalted in my
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
and hard work was definitely exalted, definitely. And it took her many years. I think I was in my teens when I took her to buy her first jar of like nice face cream
Mm-hmm.
because I had friends who worked at the Mac counter in the mall, and that's how
Okay.
I knew about it. And I think maybe she bought 2 of those jars and maybe not one since then. So there's just certain things I think my mom has gotten used to not having. Even in her retirement, they still have a fireplace insert. It's a wood burning fireplace insert so that they don't have to turn on their heater.
Yeah.
And my mother wears wool muumuus around the house
Okay.
to save money on her electrical bill. But that's how she got to where she is.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
I 100% understand. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
How long were you out of college before you started working with your dad? How many different times did you get chewed up and spit out before you went to quit with your dad?
Well, it was 2 big times, right? It was
Okay.
public policy and then corporate America, corporate marketing. Yeah.
Okay. And so you started with your dad. He would just take you in a room, you would take notes, listening. And then at some point you started having relationships with clients. And that's when you really started to feel this is what I'm here for, using your skill
Yeah.
set. Kind of like being a physician, my skill set is to help you understand this condition you have or these feelings you have that are physical and help you deal with that. Your skill set is to help me come in. I come in with my box of unorganized papers regarding my financial.
Okay, but in 2025, it's usually a folder of PDFs, but yes.
Here, let me just send you this file and you give it me in a year after you figured out all that. That's how I feel.
That is the old adage about how people got their taxes prepared, for sure. You are correct.
No, even my advisors and all that, when I first start with them, I was like, okay, I'm going to send you this stuff and it's from somewhere else. And they start asking me questions and I was like, okay, let me look at it and figure it out. And then we get there, but it's been a challenge. Now I'm a little better along for sure. But I just think about the first time I had all the stuff that was not organized in my mind, not organized. Like, I don't even know what all's here, and handing that off to somebody because now I'm ready. I think I'm ready anyway to look at it. You know, that, like you said, you didn't want to look at your bills. Like, okay, I've got to one day look at all this so I can, got to know where I'm starting so I can know where
It's the first step every time.
And I don't even know how I got past as much as listening to people, hearing it's like, okay, I'm going to have to deal it. And it's never as bad, or at least for me, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Did I cry when I look at some of my stuff? Yes. Oh, mostly because you look at it and go, I could have done so much better. I should have done so much better. Your woulda, shoulda, coulda brain kicks in. And you say, okay, now it's time to listen to Hilary, listen to the people who know and can help me. And again, you don't want to abdicate your role as your financial manager.
Correct.
I mean, you have someone helping you manage, but it's yours. But you need that person that's a relationship. And I think so many people have a financial advisor who's just someone they go and ask a thing, and there's not a bigger conversation around what you're trying to do. And people don't think about this person being with them through their life. Does that make sense?
I think that in large part is not primarily their own fault. the term financial advisor or financial planner is not a regulated term. Like I can't go call myself a doctor, but you could go call yourself a financial advisor today. And the industry grew up around really like Wall Street type of energy, buy men, for men, churning and burning accounts, trading stocks, buy, sell, like this.
Yes.
And that stuff wasn't good for people. And of course, a lot of people lost a lot of money. And we've all heard those stories, or we all know someone to whom that happened. And the research was coming out primarily out of University of Chicago. A seminal paper was published in 1965. I know this sounds really academic. I promise you I'm getting back to the human part of it.
Yeah.
So 1965, this paper came out of University of Chicago that kind of turned the investments industry on its ear. And basically, the efficient markets hypothesis says there is no point in trying to pick stocks and time trades. You would do much better to just buy a lot of them and hold on to them. Now, I simplified that a lot. Don't go invest in anything because I just said that, but essentially lent itself to what we now call index fund investing. But of course, at the time, there were no index funds.
Okay.
But the message to the industry was really clear, is like this telling people to buy and sell stocks so that we can make commissions on the trade. That's bad for people. We're making money and they're not. So a bunch of well-intentioned, at the time, male financial advisors, my father being one of them, got together and said, let's do it differently. Let's create long-term businesses where we help people buy low, hold for a long time, and sell later, right? And we'll do the right thing. We'll become what we're now calling fiduciaries. We'll take an oath to put our clients' interests before ourselves. And only at this time did it really become possible for your financial advisor to be your kind of your life partner, like one of your partners in life.
Okay.
Like on the businessy end of things. But the public doesn't necessarily know. It was a small group of people. Wall Street is a much bigger voice than independent financial advisors. And so it's taken many decades for us to gain a toehold as independent fiduciary advisors. And so, yeah, circle back to what you said, every time my team and I get FaceTime with a client, we're reminding them, this is what we're here for. We're here so you can live at the top of Maslow's pyramid. We're handling your money management. All of your plans are goals based. We're helping you author your transitions, right? We're enabling you to ascend to a place of real peace of mind where you can live in, what is my reason I'm on the planet? What's my raison d'etre? What legacy do I want to live? But first of all, people are busy, right? People are busy. Life is expensive. Stuff happens. And so we're constantly reminding of that. And we're always asking to earn the opportunity to sit next to them, figuratively speaking, at the table of life. And definitely more and more of our clients are taking us up on that offer in meaningful ways. And it's so rewarding. I can hardly put it in words.
Yeah. And one of the things that I had to learn, and this is with my tax accountant, this is about accounting only, was when I'm about to do something, I needed to speak with them about the most tax efficient way to do something big financially, purchase property, purchase real estate, whatever.
You got to talk to us beforehand.
Exactly. And that's what I think a lot of people, I used to talk after and like, well, if we had done it this way, structure this deal this way, then we could have done this. Do you have people started learning that's the way to work with you? Is like, let me talk through something that just happened and figure out how this fits financially into our plan.
Oh, I think people are more and more learning, but I never assume what kind of financial education people have had. And so let me give you an example. I've got some 35-year-old clients who are probably going to sell a business for $6 or $7 million. And when we first met, they said their existing advisor had told them, well, just tell me when you've got the money. And I about choked on my bowl of cherries, right? It's like, yeah, no, this person is not a financial advisor. This person is selling investments and that's it. We need to be in close communication, right?
Yes.
Do not call me and tell me I just signed a letter of intent. I get the check on Monday.
Yeah.
Right? And these are smart, very smart people, right? So you just never know.
Yeah. I'm saying this because I know I had a client recently who we were in close communication. And then I said, call me if you have any questions. Call me if you have this. Just call me. Let me know. And she did a thing. She's done a real estate deal that she didn't talk to me about. And now we're trying to fix some things. And so she goes, I know you told me to call you. I know you did, but I just figured I could handle it myself. And that's a physician, and that's our brain. It's like, I can handle this. I'm sure lawyers, all these high net worth people are, I can handle
You got
this.
to where you are by being confident in yourself, right?
Yes.
I understand. I understand. It's just that there's planning that needs to be done so that you aren't paying things for things you shouldn't be paying for.
That is exactly my point. We are used to doing it ourselves, and stop. Have a conversation just to get the advice, just to hear the other side of the coin. Whatever you're thinking you want to hear, either they'll agree or not agree or whatever, you're going to make your own decision. But hearing the consequences of your actions is important, as opposed to fixing a problem on the back end. It's just so much easier going to do it forward than
It's
backward.
sometimes impossible.
And sometimes it's impossible. It's like, okay, you have to
We
deal with
had,
that.
when the current administration took power this year or 6 months ago, 5 months ago, we had multiple people in our ecosystem who thought that one of the things that administration was going to do was take away women's property rights. And so we had multiple people, in one case, a PhD, gifted her house to her son. So put him on the title for the house, costing her and him hundreds of thousands of dollars. Her, because it's the equity in her home, and him, because when she dies, he's supposed to get a full step-up basis and owe no capital gains. But that's not possible now.
Yeah.
Right. And so we wrote emails to our client base, and I work for a lot of women. My firm is designed by women for women.
Right.
So we're 65% of our clients are women. We wrote emails and said, listen, you smart, well-meaning, loving, amazing people, if you're going to do something with your money, send us an email.
Talk to me first. Let's just talk it through. You can do what you want to do. My coach says, you can do whatever you want to do, but this is how I see it.
Let's at least really weigh the opportunity costs here.
That it's really important. And that's the main point is I'm trying to get across to the audience is reach out and talk. Yes, you're going to make the decision ultimately, but hear all the sides of the story. We don't know everything. Just like as a physician, you don't know if you're a urologist like me. I don't know ENT. I don't know. I know basic and I know basic heart, but if something bad's going on with your heart, don't come to me. I'm not going to fix that. And if you got big financial things, you want a financial person, not another physician or another lawyer talking you through that. You want to talk to your financial person who you've hopefully known for a while and they know you. So for you young folks out there who are just getting started, get into this right now. So you can, when you get there and you have the money and you're going to have the money, you can already have a plan in place. That's where I'm going with.
That's exactly it. And for us women, I don't know, how much of your audience is female versus male?
I talk to them like they all are, but I'm sure there's some guys out there listening.
Okay. So there's this guy in most women's financial lives I call the armchair financial advisor. Okay. And it is a husband, ex-husband, brother, uncle, dad, something like that, who wants to tell you, what to do with her money. And we had a relationship with a couple for 2 or 3 years before husband died unexpectedly. Really devastating. He was in his 50s. They were planning a long life together. Obviously, she was devastated. $2 million in life insurance. Okay. This is for her a life-altering amount of money because it about 4 or 5x'd her current savings. And it's going to be the difference between her being okay and really not being okay. And right away, this armchair financial advisors, a couple of them, popped up in her life, telling her what to do, sending her proposals for annuities that would lock up her money and have her pay expensive commissions and have really low returns. But they use this language, blah, blah, blah. One actually, and she still remembers this, she reminded me about this the other day, he actually got angry at her for not doing what he told her to do. And because of the relationship that she had built with me and my team in the years before that, she said, you know what, I'm just going to trust you. And now in the past, I don't know, 6 to 9 months, she has really come to realize she's coming out of that fog of devastation. She has really come to realize how much we've invested in the relationship. And now instead of asking for so much from us, every time she interacts with us, it's like this effusive outpouring of gratitude. Yep. I'm so glad I followed the path you put me on. So that's what's possible if you, just like you say, invest in the relationship, build the trust before you need it.
Yes. Oh, perfect. You said it so much more succinctly than I said. build the trust before you need it. So we've talked about your life and we've talked about your financial life. And I know you have a daughter, and I know that your daughter has had some medical problems. And will you talk about that a little bit? Because one of the things I talk about is for women to have options in how they work. And I think many of us don't really think that any of these big, devastating things can happen to us. And your example is a perfect one of something huge happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I have one daughter, and she has had leukemia twice. The first time she got diagnosed, she was 2 years old, and the second time she was 5. I usually cry about it when I talk about it on podcasts. And just because I'm not today, don't make that mean that I'm not devastated by it.
Yeah.
It has altered everything about my life. And so she was a patient at Stanford Children's Hospital, which I learned we were very well cared for by the endowment there. I believe our current bill is around $5 million. I potentially have paid maybe $10,000 of that. It would be crazy. I would be getting these bills, $150,000. She's probably had 60 surgeries. They're all lumbar punctures, right? Spinal taps. So just the amount of healthcare and chemotherapy and immunotherapy she has received is just beyond in four intense years of treatment.
In her first round at age 2? Or
first round at age 2. And they consider that the most curable age, right? They told me it was curable. So the relapse was a surprise. And of course, a really big disappointment. So
yeah. Where were you in your career when she was diagnosed?
In a very blessed place in retrospect. If this had happened when I was starting the company, when it was my blood, sweat, and tears and my sweat equity that was building the company, I probably would have folded. I don't know that I would have had a choice.
Mhm.
I was lucky enough to have a team of women who were working for me, who were all ramped up, like producing valuable work, and also whom I trusted and were willing to take over for me. So
So you had the income coming from other people doing works that you had built.
That's correct.
Just like we built our trust before we need it. You had built it. You didn't know you were ever going to need all this, but you had it.
Yeah.
And your daughter got sick.
I started the company in 2013 and she got sick in 2018. And so it took me, I would say if she had gotten sick in middle of 17, I probably would have still been out of business, right?
Okay.
So I just was getting into the clear in terms of what was possible for me to be able to step away. To be honest, I also was, in retrospect, a bit of a workaholic. So she was diagnosed and I was in client meetings within 72 hours. And I think in retrospect that looks bad, and it probably is bad. And I learned my lesson, right? So I didn't do that twice. I no longer do that. I think at the time I didn't know how to cancel a client meeting. I look at my mindset back then and it wasn't possible for me. Now it is.
Yes. No, I
Just
100%
different priorities.
understand that. And I'm sure there's other women out there that are understand. It's like, what do you mean you cancel? And it's like, yeah, when you got a problem, I've actually gotten to the point now where I cancel because I'm tired.
I don't know if I want to admit it, but I think I do too.
It's like, I don't feel good. I think whatever it is, but I don't want to half-ass it with anybody. And if I'm really not feeling up to snuff, I'm going to half-ass it. And that's how I justify it for myself. It's like, I want to give you my full self. Go ahead with your daughter.
It has gotten to the point where, as a mother, my first priority is to make sure I'm taking care of Harlan. And then my second priority is to take care of myself, because if I don't, who's going to take care of her?
Yes.
And we had many blessings at the time. We had a high combined income, and we had a full-time nanny when she was diagnosed. And then we had built such a good relationship with another nanny that when she relapsed, I called that person and I said, I don't know who you're working for now, but I need you to resign. And she did. She did. So she came back to work for us and she got us through leukemia the second time. So that's something like $100,000 a year all in on a nanny. That's not cheap. And I know it's a blessing to be able to afford that. And my mother was in healthcare and she was willing to give us her time. So she also supported us from a time perspective. And then we had friends bringing us food, doing our laundry. Or sometimes it was just, please come over and talk to me about your life. I don't want to talk about cancer anymore tonight.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. And so that was how we got through that. And I do know other families that had to take different routes. Of course, they have the Ronald McDonald House, which
Yeah.
I don't think people really think about what that actually is. But if your kid gets sick, you have to be near them.
Right.
And so you have people who have money, who have careers, who are living in this basically like a hostel for parents of sick kids. And then I did see people who had communities that really came together, church communities, teacher communities, family communities that came together and said, for some of the diagnoses that are shorter, mine was 2 years, but AML, acute myeloid leukemia, that's 6 months. So there were communities, I know specifically of 2 families whose friends and family and church folks came together and said, no, you're not working. You belong to us for 6 months. You belong to us. Don't worry. We'll pay your bills. We'll do what you need. We'll cook your food, right? As a community. So I don't know how other parents do it.
That, what you just said, makes me cry.
Yeah.
And what you're demonstrating and talking about is all the different forms of capital. Wealth is not just about cash. It's about your relationships, the people you have in your life. Who's going to step up to help when you need it? And who do you help when they need it? Wealth is so huge to me now. And I think I've had on the show a while ago about talking about the 8 different forms of capital, which I can't think of them right now, but it is more than just cash. There's a lot of things we need in our lives. When you have money, sometimes you need time. You need somebody to give their time. When you have money, sometimes you need somebody to fix food, just what you said. Come talk to me. Just get my head out of the ick that I'm in so that I can be there for my daughter when she needs me. It's just huge. Really, really appreciate you sharing that story and then talking about how the community, some folks that you knew of another family came in and they're just like, we got you. Don't worry about anything. So that's just huge to me. So big.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. I don't know how you can plan for an event like that, because if you lose health and the time that you need to work at the same time, it's an emergency situation.
And not having built your other capital around you, it's just almost impossible to get through. So this is
dire.
important stuff. I love your website where you talk about imagine a future where financial freedom isn't an elusive dream. It's all around and ready. And the way you guys see things, people thriving and financial freedom is everywhere. Communities of people continuously contribute to each other's wealth. That's what we were just talking about. And empowerment of people who experience gratitude and appreciation. So I really do appreciate your website. How do people?
Well, it's not just my website, right? Because those words are real, but thank you for honoring those words.
For saying that. It's not just words on a page. I can feel it from you. And I actually felt it in the website. I know there's websites that I look at and I'm like, this just sounds like BS. Even if I don't meet the person, I didn't feel that in you. Before I met you, I had read this.
And thank you.
I was like, wow, because I took it and printed it. I was like, I want to be.
You too can be a part of the love.
It's so beautiful to me just to put that on a page, and then you've experienced it and you are putting it out there and helping other women and couples to have what they need. It's just great.
Well, if it's okay to tell the last thread of my money story. So we're starting back on that walk home from the gas station. Okay. And I said to myself, okay, it's not arithmetic. It's not my degree in economics that's going to make the difference. Otherwise, it already would have. So I've got to start studying my money psychology. So I got really into ontology, behavioral finance, right? I started attending different conferences, going to different breakout sessions at financial advisor conferences. And I learned from some of the industry experts on what really contributes to how we interact with money. I found the hole in my financial bucket and I got really committed to fixing the wrongs of my financial past. And I did. So I had to pay off the debt. I had to fix my FICO score. I started saving, right? And fast forward to today. So I'm a person who works because I want to, not because I have to. My husband and I have an 8-figure net worth. Right. So there's something I learned, something I internalized that is very different from how I was before. And I really believe that the women and clients who come to work with us, that's what they want. That they want this experience of my past doesn't have to correlate to my present or my future about money. And I am an as lived experience of, like, I'm an example of, no matter how money has gone in your past, you can have an abundance of it in your future. And I think a lot of people don't believe that. You referenced that earlier. Oh, I got started late. The things you were talking about, disappointments of the past, I call that hindsight regret. It took me so many years of hindsight regret. And I finally said to myself, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to sit down and pull my calculator out and do the math of all the money I could have if I hadn't been a financial mess. But I've done that. I did that for like a couple years.
Really?
And I finally said, no more, never again, never again. Right. And so now I have this life because of the financial mess. I would not be the woman that I am today. I wouldn't be nearly as compassionate or empathetic. I was a by the book economist, but I got my heart broke open, and it took money to do that. It took money to do that. So I tell people, I don't really care about your money. I care what money does for you. It's a dangerous thing for a financial advisor to say. I care about your money, but I only care because it empowers you.
Correct. I fully understood what you're saying.
Right.
That's because I read your website too. So I already know where your heart is.
Yeah. So thank you for letting me tell that, because that's how it all came to fruition and became the whole, what was a very negative experience in my late 20s became my career, became who I am. It became the story that I'm writing on the planet.
Yes. And it's interesting how when we get past those ugly places, we realize I had to do that to get to doing and understanding what I'm here to do. Same thing for me. Losing everything in 2008, credit score 500, millions of dollars in debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. It was awful.
Yeah.
Awful. And coming back from that, it's like, there's nothing you can't come back from. There's nothing you can't come back from financially. It's just money. And you can make a lot of it. It's just, that's where I am in the whole thing. It's like, it's figure-outable. Bottom line is figure-outable.
You and I agree.
Thank you, Marie Forleo, for that word.
The phoenix from the ashes.
So how do people get in touch with you? You have your own podcast.
Yes, my podcast is called Love Your Money. So it's about being in a reciprocal relationship with your wealth, but of course also about investing best practices, etc. And then everything I'm doing is on my website at hendershottwealth.com.
Okay. All right. We will have all of Hilary's connections in the show notes. She really is not a hard person to talk to. So on her website, there's lots of buttons to schedule a call. And I think that having a conversation will be a great thing to do. So get to know them. I think it will be really amazing. Thank you so much for being with us today.
I am deeply grateful for this conversation. You're a great interviewer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, you guys, we'll see you next week.